mass media.
Attacking the podcast world. And based on the true legendary cult classic, Olus Media presents
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Did somebody mention biscuits?
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. They'll beat you, bash you, squish you, mash you, chew you up or run.
How bad is it?
Finish you off.
Also, I definitely don't get a fly again.
I'm not talking about that, you wiener. What about the tomatoes?
In this special episode, Costa interviews different people that were enjoying the Comic-Con in San Diego.
My uncle, Hal Chidnoff, who is a local actor in San Diego, was in the original movie. He played the drunk general who climbed over the table.
Hi, this is Custer Dillon with the Killer Tomatoes podcast, and today we're coming to you live from Comic-Con in San Diego. And we have a guest today at Comic-Con, Zach Schaeffer from Los Angeles. Welcome to the show, Zach.
It's a pleasure to be here. Oh my gosh, I saw your booth and I saw the Killer Tomatoes. I'm like, I have to come over and check this out. I'm blown away.
Well, what brings you to Comic-Con?
Well, I have a film screening later today. It's called Oren's Way. It's a short animated movie. And I run several podcasts. One called 80s Kids Unite, another called TV Obscura, Podcasting After Dark, and $2 Late Fee. And I've talked extensively about my love of Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. I absolutely adore the franchise. I have the toys still, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, you know, I meet, over time I've met various fans, and I'm always, somebody will come up to me and say, I've seen your movie 100 times, and I'm always not sure if I should think that's great or I should take a few steps back. Because it sounds a little scary to me. So, what attracted you to Killer Tomatoes?
I mean, my brother showed me Attack of the Killer Tomatoes probably when I was too young to see it. Maybe not, I don't know. And then the cartoon came out, and I was addicted to the cartoon. I still actually have the VHS tape. I recorded every single episode off the show, off the TV, and have the toys and the video game, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I also only have the cartoon show on video. I copied off the TV because it was never produced on a commercial release. It's still hidden by Fox Children's Network or whoever owns the thing. I'm not even sure who owns the rights anymore.
I'll tell you a fun fact. So my son Bodie, who's now 10, watched the cartoon with me and played with the toys when he was younger. And I make notes for him every day. I've been making notes for him for school since he started preschool. I'm up to over 1,200 notes.
Oh boy!
And they're very art-inspired, articulated, etc. And FT, Fuzzy Tomato, has shown up in every single one of his notes. And I actually did a whole tribute to random characters. The one on the cartoon who goes, tomatoes! So, Wilbur Finletter's in there.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, Dr. Gangrene is in there.
Well, now I also feel bad as a father because I've written 1,200 notes to my daughter.
I'll tag you guys and share them. I'll go back into the archives of these notes because 1,200 notes has been 7 years of school.
That's amazing. That's really a fantastic thing to do. Well, Fuzzy Tomato was a joke when we wrote it because the E.T. was popular and we were just capitalizing on E.T. with FT, and that's why...
Really?
Well, you notice in the film he's dead and he comes back to life.
Yes.
Yes. It wasn't a real subtle jab there, but I'm amazed how many people missed that.
I love it. No, I just love that you have these. I think they're iconic characters. I think Wilbur Finletter needs a new action figure. I think there should be a whole figure line of Attack of the Killer Tomato guys.
Well, I'll tell you, inside story there on Wilbur Finletter is the character was developed for our amateur film, Do the Accept Traveler's Checks in Babusu Land that we did in high school. And you can see that film on the 25th anniversary Rhino edition.
Oh, great.
Double disc edition, and you can see that amateur film. But originally we had, it was Steve Peace, and we had him in what was a full-size cargo parachute. And, being, a bunch of 17-year-old kids, not knowing what we were doing, we said, okay, we went to the house, Steve's at the time girlfriend's house, now his wife, and said, all right, film. We turned the Super 8 camera on, and this massive cargo chute proceeds to start dragging Steve up the hill.
That's hilarious.
He's unable to control it because the wind is carrying him away. The wind shifts, and then the parachute fully engulfs the house.
Oh no!
It looked like the house was being tented for termites or something. And then we realized this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the films, all you see is a shred of parachute, and we just cut it down to something manageable. It's not a full parachute. It wouldn't function as a parachute. It's just the suspension lines and some cloth, because we found out if we made an actual parachute that would hold wind, Steve would get killed on a windy day.
Yeah, you might need to recast suddenly, right?
Yeah, well, that's not so bad. Steve's pretty expendable. Anybody can play Wilbur Finletter. Gee.
Well, Tom Bray did the voice of Wilbur in the cartoon, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and Tom Bray, I love from Riptide and Prince of Darkness, John Carpenter's Prince of Darkness, a number of other things, but as Wilbur Finletter, that was the voice that would go through my head.
Well, I'm amazed that you even know that. I went to one of the recording sessions for the cartoon and met him and the other people who were doing the voices. Some studio in LA beats me where it was, and I was kind of fun to see all those people doing those voices.
Yeah,
because you look and watch now and you see Dan Castellaneta on something, and he never does his Homer Simpson voice, and you think it'd be kind of neat to see him actually do his Homer Simpson voice instead of his real voice.
Yeah, I've been trying to track down. Tom Bray is actually, I think he's kind of retired and does painting up in Oregon now, which is great.
Yeah.
But I just love the fact that, like, I'm a voice actor as well. I've been doing it for many years. And when I was on my demo reel, back in the day, my early demo reel, I was doing that Tom Bray, come on, let's go, let's get it done, whatever. Yeah. And inspired by that. So
that's fantastic. Yeah. Do you have any, are you in any animations or radio shows?
Yeah, if you go to my website, ZachSchaefferVO.com, ZAKSHAFFER.com, VO.com, you can see some of the stuff I've worked on. I've done promo stuff, and my friend Diallo Jackson, who's also on TV Obscura, did a movie called Angela in the Dark, and it's on YouTube, and I voiced one of the main characters in that as well. So,
wonderful. Well, if we ever do another Killer Tomatoes cartoon, I will certainly keep you in mind.
Hey, I'll do some fan stuff for you. I would love it. And it's being on your podcast today has been an honor. So.
Oh, great. It's really a treat to have you here, and thanks for stopping by at Comic-Con.
Thanks so much.
When my grandmother, who lived in Florida, went to see the movie because her son was in it, the ticket seller said, "Lady, you don't want to see this movie. It's really awful." But she insisted, and she saw it anyway, and I don't know if she was embarrassed or not. I first saw it probably 1978, 79, when we first came to San Diego, and we wanted to see my uncle's work. And it's kind of amazing. I'm a fan of really bad movies, so so I loved it, and I still do.
This is Custa Dillon again with the Killer Tomatoes podcast, here live at Comic-Con in San Diego, and pleased to have stopping by Beth Accomando. She's laughing at me because I'm glad to have her stop by. Beth and I go way back, and she has a connection to Killer Tomatoes unlike anyone else. So, Beth, what is your connection to Killer Tomatoes?
Well, I worked at Foursquare, and although I was not involved in the original Killer Tomatoes, I had some part in all the sequels. I think, what do we have? The 4 parts of the trilogy?
Yes,
right?
4-part trilogy.
Yes. I had to make fake bootleg bags to put them in. I had to manufacture that. I also did the bonus features on that Rhino anniversary DVD where they said, "Oh, you need to make like 12 bonus features." And I said, "Do I have any material?" And everybody said no. So I was hand drawing fake storyboards.
Which look great.
Yeah, so if anybody out there watched that and thought it was real, ha!
Yeah. We're probably the only film in history that did the storyboards after the movie.
Yeah, but I did Steve getting dragged by in the car. I said, "This is how it's supposed to look."
Yeah, well, anytime I get an opportunity to drag Steve on it, behind anything, I'll take that chance. So, no, but seriously, you edited, what, Return and Strikes Back? I'm trying to remember now.
Yeah, I was an editor on all 3, but I started as like an associate editor and then moved up to possibly the only editor at one point.
I think
everybody
that's
else abandoned the project in me.
And for those of you who are under 80 years old, that's when we made films using film. which meant you actually had to physically cut a piece of film and tape it to another piece of film in order to make the final movie. And that's what Beth did. And from my perspective, the editor, together with the director, are the two most important people who make a movie, because if a movie isn't edited right, you don't know what's happening, because stuff is just jumping around and you can't follow the story and so forth. It's the editor who makes the story make sense by cutting things and pasting them together so that the story is something to follow. So don't ever discount the importance of a good editor in a movie.
Yes, and we're also responsible, for, when finding the way to solve a problem when somebody forgot to keep track of continuity.
Yes.
Like, hey, wait, the crown disappeared. How? What do I do? No.
Or we forgot to do an insert shot. Yes, exactly.
Little things like that.
Little things like that. The magic you can do.
Fun.
Now you just CGI a new scene and just stick it in.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't remember filming that at all. When did we have Cary Grant in our movie? Well, it looks good. So what is it? Tell people what your day job here is in San Diego.
Well, I work at KPBS. I'm the arts and culture reporter there. So I'm a host of the Cinema Junkie podcast. I just did a video podcast called Stripper Energy, Fighting Back from the Fringes. And I also do volunteer work for Film Geeks San Diego, which is a group of programmers who we don't get paid, but we just show crazy movies that we want people to come see over at Digital Gym Cinema.
I can't imagine what a crazy movie would look like.
Killer Tomatoes.
So, those of you not from San Diego, KPBS is our public broadcasting radio and television station, and sponsored through San Diego State University. So it's a first-class outfit that Beth is associated with there. So tell me, when you were working on the films, on editing Killer Tomatoes, what struck you about it other than, I can't believe I'm doing this?
It keeps me humble knowing that I was a part of this. Well, it was just a fun project to work on. It really was. And I remember my brother, who is now working for Disney, got into the film industry because of Killer Tomatoes. And his first job was tomato wrangling, where he had to throw tomatoes. And when I was editing, the editing room was covered in a whole bunch of the little, foamy tomatoes.
Yes,
this is back,
right.
Pre-CGI. We had little fake tomatoes with chainsaws and stuff like that, and they were all over the editing suite to keep watch over us. And it was late hours at that Foursquare production offices down in National City. So, there's a sense of fun and teamwork that goes with doing, not to be offended or anything, but low budget filmmaking. You all pull together, and I remember that one of the films, I think it was Return, had a bunch of product placement stuff.
Yes.
And there was a storeroom full of all the food items, like Goobers and Heineken beer and whatever, and that's what the editing crew lived on.
Yeah, there you go.
Was all the product placement. Thank God I liked Goobers, that's all I have to say.
There you go.
But, no, it was fun. And, there's... The humor in it actually is really good.
I think so.
Yeah. Your writing is quite funny.
Thank you.
And the references to other movies, and just the ingenuity of some stuff. The giant tomatoes that had to be built.
Yes.
And taken... No, none of them actually went to France, but...
They did not the giant ones.
I had to edit those, yes.
Well, those of you who wondered, what, you hired her and her brother? Yeah.
I don't think my brother got paid.
We heard a lot of people didn't get paid.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about the film business is there are no rules against hiring your relatives. I went to a writing seminar with Gary Marshall once, the man who created Happy Days and so forth, and somebody in the audience asked him, how come Penny Marshall works in your films and your brother and so forth? And that's exactly what his answer was, is once I found out nepotism wasn't illegal in Hollywood, I said, what the heck, what's our the family? And so we did the same thing.
I think it was more like, do you have anybody who can work for free and is willing to just like throw tomatoes all day?
Yeah, the closest thing to free. And, and same thing, you mentioned that product placement. And those of you listening who haven't seen Return of the Killer Tomatoes, first off, go see Return of the Killer Tomatoes. It's the best film in the series. And George Clooney in it says, it's time we do product placement to pay the bills. Well, and the joke is the product placement didn't pay any bills. I got Moosehead Beer I contacted Moosehead Beer. They sent us beer. I contacted Hershey's, or Nestle's rather, and they sent us
Goobers. We got a lot
sent us
of
Goobers, and they sent us Nestle's Crisp bars and so forth. But none of it, they didn't give us any money. They just gave us product.
You saved all this money not feeding the editors.
No, that's true. We had the most calorie-filled, sugar-filled craft table in the business. Yes. So, explain what you do on your KBBS show.
So I focus mostly on movies with Cinema Junkie, just because movies are my passion. I love them. But I also get to cover theater and other oddball things like extreme haunts or things like that. But I cover the art scene here in San Diego, and I basically describe it as every week I see this giant pile of sand that are all the arts events going on, and I take one grain and I look at it. And then the next week the pile of sand is still the same size, and I've made no dent. So that's what I do. The thing that I really love, though, is programming films. So we're in the middle of a Godzilla series at Digital Gym, so that's a lot of fun. Because, if I could have my way, I would just cook for people and show movies, and that's it. That's all I would do, and I would be so happy.
I'm pretty sure there is a business model there.
Maybe, I don't know. Somebody's got to give me a lot of money to start it.
Well, that's great. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time to stop by.
So can I say one
Beth?
thing about Comic-Con and Killer Tomatoes
then
that
you
maybe
absolutely.
you don't remember?
Okay, go ahead.
So Beth Reno, who worked at Foursquare also, we uncovered a bunch of old 35mm reels of Killer Tomatoes at the office, which had turned magenta, so they really couldn't be used to project anywhere. And they were asking, what do we do with them? Do we throw them away? And I said, we should put it in the booth and sell it by the foot, and then make a fake authentication card that says, you are buying a piece of film that actually ran through a projector, and have John sign them all. And so we put up reels in the booth, and people rolled through it. Of course, people only wanted the foot of film that had a killer tomato in it.
Of course.
So we had a lot of footage out that was, not tomatoes. But anyway, that was actually quite a bit of fun to have those 35mm reels, and people just looking through them, trying to find a scene or they wanted a scene of the crowd because they thought they might be in it or know someone who was in it. But anyway, that was a lot of fun, and we also did a booth once where we were selling all those food products.
We have hot sauces and salsa, which you can get on KillerTomatoes.com website right now. So go to our website.
Are
you
they
can
the
still
ones
buy
from
them.
30 years ago?
Yes, exactly. They hold up really, really well. They're 99.9% preservative, so they're not going to spoil.
Awesome.
So again, Beth, thank you for stopping by, and we're glad to have you part of the Killer Tomatoes podcast. Once again, this is Custa Dillon with the Killer Tomatoes podcast, coming to you live from Comic-Con in San Diego 2024.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Be sure to follow and subscribe whenever you listen to your podcasts. To read the blog associated with this episode, visit olismedia.com. This episode was produced in studios located in San Diego, California, and Tijuana, Baja California. Creative Director Ulises Breton. Sound Engineer Alan Glazepar. Ina Alvarez is co-producer. Serving as executive producer and co-founder is J.C. Polk. And Chad Pease is president and co-founder. Olis Media is an IVC media company.
Olis Media. Feeling stuck in the weekday haze? Swing by March and Ash for No Tax Tuesdays. 30% off selected brands. And for that weekend vibe, don't miss Flower Fridays. Learn more at marchandash.com. Elevate your week, fire up your weekend.